Hey, hello, guys and gals, Raider here, and welcome back to Subnautica Below Zero. This is the second time I recorded this video because I just went over the footage and I forgot to tune or tweak my audio settings on my microphone, and yeah, so I have to redo it now. Anyways, this video, uh, we're gonna be listening to whatever noises are happening, but we're also going to be listening to some of the Mercury II logs. I went through all of these, uh, so we're going to go through them again for you guys. By the way, I am not in my main base, if you didn't notice. Mercury Hub is over there. This is a new base, the Acacia Outpost, located out here in this little acacia forest, the cave with the frozen leviathans in there. And yeah, I built this. It has a bit of plants, peppers to eat, and bioreactor, some storage. All this was done off camera, so yeah. The only major things I built here were the spy pangolin, and so I went around looking for like quartz and other stuff, and I ended up accidentally finding this antidote here, which is, as it says, injectable container for antibacterial agent. Likely to do with the frozen leviathan in there, but we'll get to that in another episode. But right now, let's start with these Mercury II logs, starting with accounting for the Mercury II crash.
I'm alive. Stefanos saved me. The Mercury attempted an emergency takeoff and everything seemed fine. I was helping the bridge crew with the emergency takeoff since the crew was short-handed because of everything. I heard the sound of metal tearing, and for a split second, everything was tinged bright green and unbearably hot. Then I saw daylight, and I was looking down at the ocean and ice. The strongest wind I've ever felt roared in my ears, ripping through the ship. People went flying out the side of the Mercury, so much screaming and chaos. I was lucky. I had just clipped into my sea tinker. Stefanos came out of nowhere, like a malaika, an angel. I felt his rough, calloused hand grasp mine with the gentlest of urgency. It felt like time slowed. He said, "I gotcha. Just follow me, Ella." I don't know how, but he used an emergency tether to drag me to the nuclear reactor core, the strongest bulkhead in the ship. We hit the water and everything went black. He's sleeping. I think he might have hit his head. I'm exhausted. The adrenaline has long since worn off and my body aches. I think I might have fractured the rib. I'm gonna shut my eyes for a bit. When I wake up, I'll figure this out. I'll save us.
Okay, so, well, I mean, as I've said, I've already listened to all these because this is the second recording. So I kind of already get the synopsis for all these, but I will explain still. So these guys landed on the planet. They were already on the planet, and they were attempting to take off, but they got shot down by bright green. Everything was bright green. That, obviously, is the quarantine enforcement platform, the big gun from the first game, and on the crater. And it's interesting because these guys were trying to take off. Keep that in mind. They managed to get on the planet, but they got shot down attempting to take off. So, yeah. And it seems like, it tore the ship in half, obviously, because there's the back half that the Mercury, that our base is located in, and then there's the front half, which is not too far from it. But, yeah. So that's what we can take from that. Now let's move on to the next one. Aliens.
Oh man, oh man, oh man. This is every xenolinguist's dream. I was helping with the planetary scans, and there are possible unknown structures on the surface. This could set my career up for life. The images are a little degraded coming through the atmosphere, but it looks like intentional and complex architecture, which means civilization, and civilization means dun, 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 language. Oh, man. And now, most of the crew wants to get home. I understand that, but this could be a defining discovery. I'm definitely going to put a bug in Diana's ear about going to the surface so I can take a team to explore. I desperately hope this pans out. Oh, I can't wait till we get into communication range with Soul again. Layla and the kids would love to hear this. I mean, it's rough being away from them so long, but this might just make it worth it. I'll be able to give them so much more.
Alright, so our boy Elliot here, I'm assuming is the xenolinguist of the Mercury II. So, they were doing planetary, they were scanning the planet and they found structures. So I'm assuming that's precursor structures, you know, the architecture. But I'm curious as to what they found, what they scanned exactly. Maybe it was one of the... because it was something on the surface. They scanned something on the surface of the planet. There's not a lot that is on the surface of the planet besides besides the quarantine enforcement platform. So I'm curious what he actually scanned. Because if these guys landed in the Arctic sector, and the quarantine enforcement platform is located in the crater on like the other side of the planet, what did they scan? What did they find? What did they scan? What did they find besides the quarantine enforcement platform? What else? What other structures could be up on the surface of 4546b? That is definitely a question. Anyways, let's move on from this. Next one, Captain Badass. Let's see what Diana has to say.
Sol should pay me more to lead these missions. I saved the whole damn crew from destruction. Mercury II was nearly obliterated by an immensely powerful energy beam. I don't know any weapon system with that level of capability. The power source to get that kind of range must be, well, otherworldly. We got lucky. The energy signature is similar to some of the weaponry meant to counter pirates on mining freighters. The refraction of the beam across the atmosphere? Ryan's belt, it looked like the Northern Lights. Such power. I fired the emergency flares and dumped water from the nuclear core. I think the heat signature confused the weapons tracking for just an instant. I managed a slight evasive maneuver, and I felt the Mercury get rocked by the sonic boom as the nuclear runoff rapidly evaporated. That alone could have taken us out. Definitely asking for a pay raise. This is not what I signed up for. My days of risky missions should be behind me. But what the hell? I still got it. Even if it was luck. Hopefully, whatever didn't want us on the planet doesn't mind when we leave.
Alright, so Diana here, pilot of the Mercury. So she was entering the planet's atmosphere. She was entering the planet, and the quarantine platform attempted to shoot her down, but she popped her... where was it? Popped her signal flares or emergency flares, and dumped some water from the nuclear core. And that, I guess that drew the beam just away from them. So she managed to actually evade the laser from the quarantine platform, which is impressive. Because, I mean, that platform, that quarantine platform, the giant gun, which is what it is designed that it can shoot down ships from anywhere on the planet, because the laser actually bends through the atmosphere, so it can hit ships on the other side of the planet. That's how important quarantining this planet was, keeping everyone from leaving or entering the planet. And obviously that was because of the Kara bacteria. It was killed off the precursors and it was infecting all the wildlife. So the precursors quarantined the planet by building this gun and made it, and built it so that no one could leave or enter the planet without getting shot down. So the fact that Diana managed to evade the laser, evade getting shot down, and supposedly landed on this planet safely is impressive. But more importantly, it's the fact that they got shot down, because after in the first game, Riley Robinson, the character we play, ends up deactivating the gun and curing the Corabacterium. So my question is, when does this take place? Because obviously, well, I guess the question isn't when this takes place. You could ask that question, but the answer is actually going to be probably pretty obvious, because that means the gun was still active at the time. So this had to have happened before the Aurora crashed. Maybe even before the Degassi, or slightly after. It could have happened before or after the Degassi crashed, because keep in mind, that's also why the Aurora came here to 4546B. Maybe it was like a secondary or primary mission of the Aurora crew, but it was to find the Degassi. Or what was left of it. Sorry for the pause, I had a sip of water. But that is impressive. It's interesting that all this happened before the Aurora showed up. So I could only imagine what the Mercury crew was facing at the time. And now let's move on to this emergency takeoff.
Orion's belt, this all went sideways. How could I have known that so much would go wrong? I failed my crew. No, I don't fail. I didn't get into this position by being a failure. It's this desolate land, frigid and cursed. Between these tunneling creatures and the strange sickness that a few of the crew are showing symptoms of, we have to leave at first light tomorrow. We are prepping for a rapid takeoff. We can't take chances with the vibrations drawing the tunnelers, so we're skipping the systems check. Risky, but I have faith in myself and the crew of the Mercury. Landing this thing was practically a miracle, though. But we have to get out of here. Maybe the weapon is to keep people away, but if we leave, it'll let us go. I have to leave the quarantined crew in the cave behind. We will be back for them, but we can't risk an unknown infection spreading through the Mercury. We're packing survival kits for them, but there's only enough surplus for about 2 weeks. I'm telling them that we will come back. But I don't think I can land here safely. Twice. I hate this. But I have to leave them behind. I can't risk the entirety of the Mercury.
I mean, landing on this planet alone, you did kind of risk the entirety of the Mercury. So, this is why they chose to take off. I guess they were some tunneling creatures under the snow. I don't know. I haven't encountered any yet, and thankfully I haven't, but chances are I likely will soon. But also because some of their crew was showing symptoms. They were ill. They were infected with the Kara virus, or bacteria. So again, this likely proves, or maybe even confirms, that this did happen before the Aurora. This happened before the Aurora came, because it wasn't until after the Aurora crashed that, in the first game, that Riley, the character, the player, managed to find a cure for the Corabacterium and was able to spread it across with the help of the Sea Emperor and her juveniles and Enzyme 42. So yeah, it's scary to think what these people had to have dealt with. Not just the creatures, but the illness too. And obviously they had to leave some of their crew behind, and they skipped the system checks. I'm assuming that definitely bit them later when trying to take off. Man. If this happened before the Aurora, I doubt those remaining crew are still alive anymore. None of these people probably are alive. Now, we're gonna skip Glowing Picnic because this doesn't really do anything regarding, the events going on. This doesn't really have any continuity. It's kind of just like a this is kind of just like a character, like this is just character building, like building up character for, Yasmin and Stefanos here. So we'll skip those two, and we'll move on to this. Talk about Elliot missing his family.
We need to get off this planet. I mean, the morning started off so well. I took a team of 6 out to find the structures from the planetary scans, and we were all in high spirits. I mean, who wouldn't be? These structures would be clues to another sentient race. It was highly unlikely that another colony would be out this far. We were gonna be in the frickin' history books. Everything was going okay. We were a few miles from the ship when our radios picked up an actual signal. It sounded like an SOS. We got overly excited naturally and decided to enter the water to follow it. That decision cost 3 lives. I mean, half my team. They got ripped to shreds by something. They died screaming, alone in the cold, dark waters. I'm not going back in that godforsaken ocean again. I refuse. Some of the animals on this planet, they look sick too. Weird pustules on the skin, oddly sluggish. I think we should leave. But Diana said we should stay. She thinks the biopatent payoffs would be worth it, but those families will never see their loved ones again. They don't care about no payoffs. We can't return the bodies. I don't care about the accolades or the history books. I just want to see Layla and the kids. Man. I miss the smell of my wife's hair. The kids tackling me at the door again. That's all I want. To get out of here alive. Please.
Yeah. Bit of a reality check there for Elliot. So, obviously they were still searching for the structures that they found, and then they discovered an SOS. I'm curious to think if that SOS was the same SOS that we heard from the Architect's Sanctuary. About down there, where the Architect's Sanctuary is, and where we found Alan. I'm curious if that's what they heard, but I'm also curious as to what attacked them. 'Cause they lost 3 lives, and something killed them. They were a few miles out, but what did they encounter? Because, well, frankly, I don't know what direction they went. Maybe they went towards the Architect's Sanctuary, but from here, from the shoreline of the basin, of the glacial basin to the Architect's Sanctuary, there isn't really anything. There's no, like, leviathans or anything, besides all that there is, really, that I can think of are the sharks. The brute sharks, I think is what they're called. Are they, yeah, these things. Yeah, they swim in the deep, twisty bridges. But there's nothing else. Maybe a couple snow stalkers? I know they can swim, but I don't think they'd be out there in the open ocean. Definitely not the squid sharks, because those are around the lily pads. So what attacked them? That's curious. And they found, even more confirmation that this happened before the first game, because they found animals with green pustules that were infected with Kra. So, yeah. It's sad to see. Now, the last one. Do you mind? And now the last one. Diana trusting her instincts. Let's see if her instincts were correct.
My instincts are never wrong. Stefanos has always been overly cautious. He hates taking risks, which I suppose is understandable when you're in the back end of the galaxy. But no risk, no reward. Elliot finds evidence of alien architecture on a completely uncharted planet, and he expects me to ignore that? Orion's belt, I would be an absolute fool. We've done some scans, and while there aren't a lot of mineral resources on this planet, there is decent biodiversity. Teams go out in the morning. There should be a significant specimen and sample haul for biopatenting, which will be split among the crew as part of the Discovery Clause. Let's see Stephanos and everyone else complain when they have a few more Sol Transgov credits in their uniform pockets. They'll learn to trust my instincts at some point.
So this was Diana. Obviously, this is before they landed. They entered the atmosphere of 4546b. So Diana trusted her instincts, and her instincts said, go down to this planet. We'll be able to get a pay for it. There's no reward without no risk. Shame that risk was too costly. Put the entirety of the Mercury at risk, and bit the bullet because of it. It is fascinating to read up on the lore of these games, reading in between the lines. And I think that's something that kind of gets not as much attention when it comes to the Subnautica universe, is the lore of 4546b, you know? Because everyone's more focused on the animals, the creatures you find, you know, the environments surrounding you, and, I mean, building your home, building a base, surviving off of it. But they don't, you know, you don't stop to take a good minute to think about the others, the other people, the other characters that were on this planet, the ones that aren't here anymore. It's interesting. But yeah. Well, I think this is where we'll end this episode off. I'm not sure what we'll do for the next episode. I'm thinking maybe we can take this antidote and do something with it for the frozen Leviathan over there. Maybe we could go visit Marguerite, or we could build a prawn suit even, because I've been wanting to do that too for a little bit, but I'm not too sure what we'll do. I'll figure that out some other time. But no, yeah, we'll end this episode here. So on with the outro, shall we? Thank you guys and gals for watching. If you enjoyed this video or any of the other content I've uploaded to this channel, consider leaving a like and subscribing. And if you do subscribe, be sure to turn on all notifications so that way you're notified whenever I upload a video. It only takes a second of your time and it helps the channel grow. And if you do no, sorry, I almost repeated myself there. Leave any thoughts, questions, or suggestions for any other games you'd like to see me play in the future in the comments below. I enjoy seeing the engagement, and it also helps the algorithm show that people are interested in watching my videos. You know, hopefully that swings the algorithm in the right direction in regards to my channel. Anyways, one last thank you to you guys and gals, and I will see y'all next week with a new video. Bye bye.